Good evening. It is Wednesday, May 5th, 2021, 7 p.m., and I'm going to call to order the Ottawa City Commission meeting for this evening. Could you please actually, before we call the roll, we read a really fun paragraph that we have to read before every meeting, in which that we cannot be completely all in person because we are in a hybrid model, in which that the commission is here. However, other individuals in the public are asked to join us via Zoom. So Melissa, would you please join or read the paragraph for us this evening?
This is Melissa Reed, City Clerk, and I will be providing information for remote access as well as procedural guidelines that will be followed for this meeting. Due to the efforts to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, physical access to the City Commission meeting will be restricted. In accordance with Kansas Open Meetings Act, the meeting can be viewed live on channel 23 and via Facebook Live, or listened to by dialing 1-312-626-6799 and entering meeting ID 979-6273-3505#. Guidelines for this meeting are as follows. Each member of the public, staff, or presenter is required to state the individual's name and title, if any, each time the individual begins speaking or voting, so that the individual can be identified by remote listeners or observers. Citizens that submitted comment by 4 p.m. today to public comments at ottawakansas.gov were given to the City Commission to be read during public comment or during discussion on an agenda item. The Commission must describe at the beginning of the meeting the process that will be used for a closed or executive meeting pursuant to KSA 75-4319 and amendments thereto.
Thank you, Melissa. We appreciate you reading that. Would you please proceed with the roll call?
Mayor Kaler,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley,
Present.
Commissioner Skidmore,
Present.
Commissioner Jorgensen,
Present.
Commissioner Wygand.
All right, we've got everybody but Commissioner Wygand here this evening, so I want to welcome everybody to our meeting and tell you how much we are happy to be back into City Hall and comfortable back here, and glad that you could join us. So thank you so much for joining us. We begin every one of our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation, which tonight will be led by Commissioner Skidmore. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Well, Father, we thank you that we can gather here together again tonight with our colleagues and friends. We're mindful of where we were a year ago tonight to where we are today, and we're just thankful for the way you've brought us through this storm, the highs and the lows, that you were with us each step of the way. Father, we also thank you for our county workers who administered the vaccines over the last several months. We just thank you for their dedication and service to our community, and just ask for a special blessing on each one of them tonight. And then, Lord, as we look over this agenda, we just ask for you to give us guidance and direction. Let each decision we made be honoring to you. We just commit this time to you. In Christ's name, amen.
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 Thank you, Commissioner Skidmore. I appreciate you leading us in the invocation. I did indicate to Glora earlier today, and I was going to, open it up to individuals who may want to lead the invocation, to please contact City Hall and let us know. We are always looking for individuals who would like to lead us in prayer, and welcome you to offer to do that if that's something that is a calling to you. That moves us on to consent agenda, which includes the minutes from April 19th study session, April 21st regular meeting, and April 26th study session. It also includes appointments to the city boards and commissions of the Airport Advisory Board with Jack Miller and Luke Douglas, the Planning Commission with Diana Starsnick-Dean and Jana Elmer, and I think I got that wrong. Sorry if I did. And Ottawa Memorial Auditorium with Pete Weber. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor Kaler.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Jorgensen. I move to approve the consent agenda as indicated.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Crowley would second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Jorgensen and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Crowley. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That moves us on to our regular agenda. At this time during our agenda, we offer the public to come in and have comments with us. Have there been individuals who have registered to visit with us under public comment today?
We have none at this time.
Okay, thank you. Then we will not read the paragraph that is on our agenda, but we do welcome the public to come in at any time and visit with us. Next is the declaration. At this time, I'd like to give commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication that they have had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Commissioners? Seeing none, we will move forward. Before we start on new business, I am going to yield to our city manager as we have a special guest who actually will no longer be a guest very soon. And I'd like to yield to him for him to do a special introduction, please.
Thank you, Commissioners. Richard Nienstead, City Manager. I'd like to introduce to you and the public Melanie Landis, who will be here on May 10th and formally start her role as our next Director of Finance. So this is yours.
Hey, Melanie, tell us about yourself. We're excited for you to be here.
Thank you so much. I am excited to be here too, and I am looking forward to jumping in. And I've been on a couple of calls already with a couple of staff, so I'm really looking forward to getting in there and meeting with them and see what we can do. I know we're getting into budget season, so I am a budget nerd. I'm looking forward to that, believe it or not.
And so, Melanie, tell us, where do you come from?
So I do live in Gardner now.
Mm-hmm.
I have worked in both Manhattan, which is the area that I'm from, and then also most recently with Spring Hill.
Okay.
So I have 20 years in municipal finance and 12 years as a director.
Excellent. Well, we're excited to have your expertise here, and we're excited for you to join our team.
Great, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Welcome.
Thanks.
Next, as we move on to new business, is a proclamation recognizing May 2021 as Community Action Month. And today, that proclamation recognizes the 50-year history of promoting self-sufficiency for those who have limited income. And Teresia, I think, is she here?
I am.
Good. Hello.
Hello.
From ECAN, we'll accept the proclamation, which will be read by Mayor Pro Tem Crowley.
Thank you. And the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas community action agencies were created when the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964 was signed into law, and whereas the East Central Kansas Economic Opportunity Corporation, ECAN, was established in 1966, and whereas ECAN has a 50-plus year history of promoting self-sufficiency for limited income, and whereas ECAN has made essential contributions to individuals and families in the city of Ottawa by providing them the innovative and cost-effective programs such as weatherization program, housing choice vouchers, Head Start, budgeting classes, and stepping stone programs. And whereas community action agencies are needed as major participants in the reform of the welfare system as we know it. And whereas individuals and families on limited income continue to need opportunities to improve their lives and their living conditions, thus ensuring that all citizens are able to live in dignity. And whereas the poverty rate in the city of Ottawa is 12.9%. And whereas Kansas and the entire United States must continue to wage war on poverty by providing support and opportunities for all citizens in need of assistance. And whereas the City of Ottawa and ECAN have worked together to meet the needs of our most vulnerable citizens. And therefore, we, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2021 to be Community Action Month in the City of Ottawa, Kansas, in recognition of the hard work and dedication of community action agencies. Signed this 5th day of May 2021 by our Mayor, Sarah Kaler.
And we cannot wait until the day that we can hand this to you personally, but we certainly want to hear from you, Teresia, and tell us all about Community Action Month and all the great work that you're doing at ECAN. So I'm going to yield to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for the city partnering with ECAN. We could not have done anything without the partnerships that we have. This has been a very hard year. We see our utility bills are going up. We have more clientele that we have not had in the past, but we continue with the help of the city and all of our partners, pushing to strive to help each and every family from Franklin County. Just like to give you just one of our success stories. We had a senior, she was 80, I would say she's 80 something. This winter, all of her pipes burst. We were able to get her pipes fixed. She went almost a month before we found out that she had no running water. We were able to get her pipes fixed, and she was able to have her running water, take a shower. She was so excited. She's like, oh, I don't know what I would have done without you guys. So without all of our partnerships, we could not do anything. And I just like to say thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for sharing that story, and I certainly appreciate, and I'm sure that everyone here certainly appreciates the fact that you respect and we all respect the dignity and self-worth of all of our citizens, and you certainly helped highlight how ECAN was able to help a citizen really recently. So thank you so much, ECAN. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Mayor.
That moves us on to item 12 of the agenda.
Proclamation recognizing May 9th through May 14th, 2021 as Police Week.
Established in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy and a joint resolution of Congress, National Police Week pays special tribute to law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for safety and protection of others. Chief Adam Weingartner will accept the proclamation, which will be read by Commissioner Jorgensen.
And the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas there are more than 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, about 12% are women, including the dedicated members of the Ottawa Police Department. And whereas 50,000 law enforcement officers are assaulted each year, resulting in 14,000 injuries. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1791, over 22,000 law officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, including Captain Robert C. Cowden of the Ottawa Police Department, who died in 1963. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 394 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 295 officers killed during 2020, an increase of 128 from 128 in 2019. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2020, held virtually. And whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which takes place this year on May 11th through 16th, 2020. Therefore, be it resolved that the City Commission formally designates May 9th through 14th, 2021 as Police Week in the City of Ottawa, Kansas, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in the communities across the nation. Signed this 5th day of May 2021 by the Mayor, Sarah Kaler.
Thank you, Mayor Kaler, Mayor Jorgensen for reading that, fellow commissioners, city manager, those attending us in person and virtually. I have the privilege of leading the men and women of the Ottawa Police Departments, and I said to you words when you appointed me as the chief that I do so not so lightly. It's a serious task, it's a serious business for serious work. 2020 was a tough year for law enforcement, from the pandemic to protests. And everything in between. The numbers that you read today are different. They'll be different tomorrow as we continue to tally the people that were lost last year. Over 200 dead from COVID-19 as law enforcement. And that covers both law enforcement from corrections officers, including 4 in this state. 1 was killed in a traffic accident. 1 was shot and killed last year. So even in Kansas, it was a tough year. We continue to lose members who served this country on 9/11. As we approach the 20th anniversary in September, those people who responded that day still pass away. Last year, in fact, it was the 4th leading cause of death of law enforcement officers still in this country. And will probably continue for a few more years. But having said all of that, and as heavy as that may weigh on our hearts, every day officers in every community across this country get up, put the uniform on, and go to work to protect and serve. And we do it on a duty and honor to protect and serve. And it's a privilege. It is a privilege to get to do this every day. And it is a great job. It's a tough job, but man, is it good. And with people like you standing behind us and supporting us, this community is so good to us. And we hope that we're the model for other communities that get to follow. And if everybody could just do a little bit more of what we do here, I think 2021 will be a better year than 2020. And moving forward, all of those other years are going to be even better. So thank you very much for recognition. Our services to honor officers will look different again this year because of COVID-19. So what we're going to do for our staff is feed them, and we're going to feed them really well. So me and the command staff are going to barbecue some food out for the officers, then all of the other employees of the department next week, and hopefully make it a little bit easier for them to go about their business for the day. So thank you very much. I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Chief Weingarter. We appreciate those words, and please send our absolute thanks to every single one of your officers and every single one of the employees at the Ottawa Police Department.
I will do it.
That moves us on to item 13 on the agenda.
Request for approval of resolution authorizing the consumption of alcohol on a public street during Summerfest event.
This request submitted by event organizers Ottawa Main Street Association and Ottawa Area Chamber of Commerce is scheduled for June 5th, 2021. Mr. John Cohen will outline the details of this request. And I see John is joining us this evening. Welcome, Mr. Cohen. We appreciate you being here today. Tell us about Summerfest.
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and Honorable Commission, and happy Cinco de Mayo. The request that I want to visit with you tonight about is for Cinco de Junio, which is the day on the 5th of June. And it's what we're calling Summerfest. It's being organized primarily by the ORC, but as participants and supporters, the Ottawa Chamber and Ottawa Main Street are trying to organize an event that's going to take place downtown in Ottawa, specifically in the 200 block, where we want to rope the 200 block off and stop traffic. There's going to be live music, some potential places for kids to play on if that works out with COVID restrictions. There's also going to be a display of antique cars. And the reason we're wanting to rope the street off specifically is to restrict access and allow open carry of alcohol from our alcoholic vendors in that block, which is Not Lost Brewery, El Sol, and Pizza Time. Specifically, we're working in cooperation with Not Lost Brewery and Dusty and Melanie Gentry, who will be active participants, but because it is open carry, we want to extend that same courtesy to Pizza Time and El Sol if they care to do the same thing that week. We're calling it Summerfest just because I think that after a year plus more of restrictions and having to stay inside, we're encouraging the community to get outside and see one another again. Hopefully people have taken advantage of being vaccinated. If not, I encourage you to do that just to add to your safety. But this is just supposed to be a fun event. There's other events going on that day that are organized by the ORC. There's a Frisbee disc contest, a home run derby. That evening, there's actually going to be a shrimp boil held at Legacy Square by Yoshua County Community College, and we're also having a movie night that night in Legacy Square, a family movie night. We haven't selected the movie, but it'll be very family friendly, and we're encouraging everybody to come. And the whole day is being dubbed as Summerfest. So if I could answer any questions, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you for the rundown. That sounds like some exciting stuff that you guys have planned in conjunction with ORC and Ottawa Main Street. Commissioners, do you have questions for Mr. Cohen regarding this request? No? Can you tell me specifically, I know that you're asking about the authorizing the consumption of alcohol. Can you tell me about time frames that you're looking at that for that?
We're asking to shut Maine down from noon to 6. So that would be the time where we're restricting access. And of course, there will be gates for people to come in, and those gates will be manned. Whatever the politically correct term is, there will be a person on duty at each one of those dates checking ID. And then if a person is of the age and does desire to consume alcohol, they'll be banded. They'll have to be banded at the gate. Either that or it'll happen inside the establishments that are providing alcohol. But one way or the other, to receive alcohol, you'll have to be provide your ID and then be banded. And then that will be the signal that it's okay for you to be outside carrying alcohol. And so it'll be a good portion of the afternoon. I know that Ottawa Main Street has been arranging for bands, and they have several, I think maybe as many as 9 or 10. There'll be a good offering of different types of music, and we think it's going to be a fun event.
Awesome. Any additional questions, commissioners? If not, I will entertain a motion if there is one.
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve item 13 as stated on our agenda.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley makes the motion. Is there a second?
Commissioner Jorgensen will second.
Commissioner Jorgensen makes a second. Is there any discussion among commissioners? If not, we will proceed to vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wygand is absent, and Mayor Kaler.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. Thank you, John. We look forward to an update, hopefully closer to the event, to kind of let us know what's going on and let the public know.
You bet. And I'd like to thank the commission for the support on this, and hope that we see you in downtown Ottawa or at some event on June the 5th.
If you can guarantee the weather is exactly like this, I'm guessing you will have a great turnout.
I guarantee it. That's my job.
I know.
Right.
Chamber weather. I get it. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Next item on the agenda is item 14.
Request to endorse the Kansas Independent College Finance Authority Revenue Anticipation Notes 2021 for Ottawa University.
Through the Kansas Independent College Authority, Ottawa University draws down on short-term financing to help the university bridge during the summer months. The city's bonding authority is used as a conduit to allow this financing. There is no financial obligation placed upon the city, and this debt strictly belongs to the university. I believe that we were supposed to have Clark Riberty or Tom Corley from Ottawa University joining us. However, I do not see them. Do we have somebody who would like to address this matter?
Mayor, City Manager Richard Neinstead, you have it right. This is something we do every year at the request of Ottawa University. It is in statute that this has to happen. In fact, I and former city clerk Amy Finch went to one of the meetings that they have, and they decide how much money they're going to ask for. But all they're asking you for is to give your blessing to it. There is no financial impact on the city. We are not liable for their debt. So I think all of you have been through this at least once, maybe twice, maybe more than that. So with that, I would ask you on behalf of OU to please approve their request.
Commissioners, do you have questions regarding this request from Ottawa University?
Mayor Kaler, this is
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Commissioner Jorgensen. This is, which has become routine. I know that it's been done more than once or twice, probably 16, 17 times, and prior to my arriving on the city commission. So therefore, I move to approve the item as described in item 14 of our agenda.
Commissioner Jorgensen makes the motion. Is there a second?
Commissioner Skidmore will second that.
It's always good when the bankers make the motion and the second to endorse Finance Authority. Is there any discussion among commissioners?
Commissioner Skidmore, I just want to add to this, what a great relationship we have with Ottawa University in our community, and also congratulations to all the graduates. So
Absolutely. Very true. It's kind of fun that now that we have Ottawa University students living downtown, it's fun to see them downtown more often too. So, and has nothing to do with this Finance Authority, but it's just an extra note. Is there any other discussion among commissioners? If not, we will proceed to vote.
Commissioner Wygand is absent. How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
And Mayor Kaler?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. That moves us on to item 15 on the agenda.
Request for approval of ordinance amending Article 6 of zoning regulations on residential zoned districts.
The Planning Commission has reviewed the proposed amendments to the zoning regulations and held a public hearing. This amendment will allow for attached single-family with conditional use permits in an R1 zone and is recommended by the Planning Commission. I believe that Mrs. Lee will be addressing this today.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. As we've discussed this a few times, but for the public's benefit, I'm going to go back and do a brief summary. We had conditional use applications that had been submitted on behalf of a developer, and they had, in the application, written duplex. But when planner Sarah Anzacek and I were visiting with them, what we discovered was they were proposing attached single family, which from the outside is going to look much like a duplex, but it's constructed different. And in the end, it can be sold as two different single family occupied dwellings. Because of the regulations that we're proposing tonight, they actually prohibited an attached single family, even though this is a low density subdivision and we allowed duplexes by conditional use. So our proposal to the Planning Commission was to do a strike relative to the square footage on the individual unit, because as I shared with you before, we don't have a square footage minimum on other residential units. And then to add two sections G and H, which allow for in an R1 district, a conditional use permit could be, they could recommend the minimum lot size so that they would look at each of those applications and determine what the minimum lot size would need to be, and that they would consider the parking needs relative to each use, thus allowing a single attached dwelling in an R1 with those additional concerns, so that an applicant would be very aware that those are the kinds of things that they would need to address in their application. And the staff and the Planning Commission do recommend its approval.
Commissioners, do you have questions for Mrs. Lee regarding this request?
Commissioner Skidmore, I just got a brief question. I just now realized there was a public hearing. Can you tell us about the attendees and was there discussion on this?
Yeah, in fact, there was, because at the same meeting, we had two pending conditional use applications. And so the neighbors had, of course, been notified, and they did offer comments, which was related to parking.
Yep.
So that actually was helpful that there was actually an item on there. Those items can't be considered unless you approve this, but we haven't had a whole lot of public participation in our meetings via Zoom, but we did that night.
That's good. Well, with that said, I'll make a motion. We approve item 15 on our agenda.
It's been moved by Commissioner Skidmore that we approve the ordinance amending Article 6 of the zoning regulations. Is there a second?
Commissioner Crowley will second.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley seconds. Is there any discussion among commissioners? If not, we will proceed to vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wygand is absent. How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
And Mayor Kaler?
And I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. That moves us on to item 16 on the agenda.
Request for approval of ordinance for conditional use permit to allow construction of attached single-family dwelling at 929 East Wilson in a R1 low-density residential district.
Van Knight Homes has applied for this conditional use permit, and staff will provide details of the request, which I believe Mrs. Lee will provide those details for us this evening. Mrs. Lee, what do you have to tell us?
So the applicant is the same on both of these conditional use permits. The first one was 715 South Pecan, right? That's the, make sure I'm on the right one. Yes. And this is the one that some of the neighbors actually offered testimony on. And so after hearing that, the Planning Commission added some conditions to this one. In addition to neither one of those could move forward unless you acted on the previous amendment, they added to this one that 3 off-street parking spaces to be provided with each unit, and that the front yard setback be changed to a minimum of 25 feet. In order to accommodate the parking, I visited with the developer since our conversation on many, because Commissioner Jorgensen wanted to know, were they going to double park in the front, meaning 2 and then 1 in the garage, or were they going to make the driveway longer? And the applicant then submitted today to me that he'll be 36 feet from the sidewalk to allow them to park in all one row for each unit. And so,
Mrs. Lee,
yes.
this is 929 East Wilson?
No,
Or we're doing Pecan?
we're doing Pecan.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
I
all
did get them
right.
backed up.
Number
No,
16.
that's all right.
I can tell you about Wilson. We'll do Wilson.
It's
Wilson.
okay, we can.
Wilson is actually very similar. It's 40 feet, however. They do 40 feet on Wilson in order to accommodate, because they have a different kind of configuration on that one. So it'll be 40 feet from the setback on that one. And the other one is the one the
And
neighbors
no
testified
additional
on.
parking spots.
No,
out
that
on-
one
on
we
Wilson.
had no comments from the public. But because we were discussing during the hearing that it is a collector road, I'm not sure he had fully contemplated that, of course, there would be no ability to park on Wilson until we were discussing it. So he voluntarily moved the setback further back in order to accommodate basically the same number of vehicles.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions for Mrs. Lee regarding 929 East Wilson?
Mayor Kaler.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Jorgensen. I do have a question. I guess it's the same applicant, and I know that Slade is a principal of at Van Knight Homes. But on the agenda, it says that Van Knight is the applicant for item 16, and Slade Vandeventer is the applicant on item 17. Is it both for Van Knight Homes, or?
I think so, but I think he filled out the applications slightly different. But I'll
Okay.
fill the application
Okay.
if you want. But
I don't
he's-
want to be
he's the
nitpicking, but
contact.
it is the same.
He's the
same
contact for it,
Okay.
so that's what I'm mostly doing, and I
Gotcha.
visited with him
Okay.
today, so.
All right, thank you.
Any other additional questions or comments from commissioners? If not, I will entertain a motion if there is one for 929 East Wilson.
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve item 16.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Crowley to approve the ordinance for conditional use permit allowing construction at 929 East Wilson. Is there a second?
Commissioner Skidmore will second that.
It's been moved and seconded by Commissioner Skidmore. Any discussion among commissioners? All right, then we will proceed to vote.
How do you vote? Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wygand is absent. Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
And Mayor Kaler?
And I vote yes, motion carries. That moves us on to item 17 on our agenda.
Request for approval of ordinance for conditional use permit to allow construction of an attached single-family dwelling at 715 South Pecan in a R1 low-density residential district.
Slade Vandeventer has applied for a conditional use permit, and staff will provide the details of this request, which I believe Mrs. Lee is going to do that, for 715 South Pecan.
Thank you. Melissa, I forgot that I was going to have you share your screen and show those images if they gave you permission to do it. So she'll put those up, both of them, if you want to see
Right.
them. I did just double check. The second application was also Van Knight Homes.
Okay.
I think staff just filled out Slade because that's who we're always visiting with. So, but it does say that. So I adjusted because he was working on the job and couldn't get in to make the adjustment. But this one, there's a little bit more of an overhang And so he said with 36 feet from the right-of-way line, he could accommodate 2 cars, and then the garage for each side, so a total of 3, which was the request and condition on this application. Again, this one is the one that had the neighbors testifying, and there was concern that based on the narrowness of the road, the lack of parking, and as we discussed in the study session, there's no access from the back because it abuts Skunk Run. So there's no other way to get to the structure except for from the front. And so in that case, the commission felt like it was appropriate to add the condition. And they had requested that the setback be changed at least to 25 because at the time we weren't certain how he was going to accommodate the parking. And today he got back to me to let me know what that was going to look like. And so as you see here, he proposed it at 36 feet and the other one, as I said earlier, was 40. So, and as I said on Monday, and I think it's worth noting, we are looking at parking for residential and we are also looking at lot sizes. Because I want to be real careful that we don't get in a habit when we're looking at residential. It's appropriate in a conditional use, but it's not always appropriate to add significant more parking. It's more cost, so it can affect our affordability. It can make it difficult then for that unit to be turned, and it affects stormwater as well. I will tell you from a social standpoint, it also pushes the unit further away from the street and the sidewalk, which makes it feel like it's not a part of the neighborhood in the same way. So you'll probably know that about maybe 10 years ago, we actually reduced setbacks in order to allow structures to come closer. This kind of came up and we just responded, but I wouldn't want anyone to say that is always going to be the case because conditional uses are case by case, and they do matter about the neighborhood. So if we were on, let's say in my neighborhood and Commissioner Jorgensen's where we have a particularly wide street, I don't think that requirement would be necessary. Doesn't mean somebody can't build it, but we just want to be careful that we don't add costs without, we've been talking about permit fees, but I assure you that much more concrete is actually significantly more than what we're talking about. So we want to be careful, and I think we would want the public to know that we're mindful of that we're aware of it, but that in these circumstances, given both locations, it was an appropriate addition.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee. We appreciate the details on 715 South Pecan. Commissioners, do you have additional questions or comments for Mrs. Lee regarding this request?
Mayor Kaler, this is Commissioner Jorgensen again. Ms. Lee, it doesn't show that in the plat plan, but there is a sidewalk on this site as well.
There is a sidewalk on this side of Pecan. Actually, Van Knight Homes has built a unit further down the street where there is not a sidewalk, and he was concerned. And I said, well, it's unlikely. Most of the time on local roads, all our requirement is that there be a sidewalk on one side. I said, however, if a sidewalk was ever built there, then yes, we would not want someone to park on it. That's actually true for everywhere. In fact, today I thought, it'd probably be nice to do a little campaign to remind people now that we're into the time of year when people want to get out. From both a mobility and an accessibility reason, we should not park across sidewalks, to leave that clear for people to access. But we don't usually go out and look for enforcement. So, but in this case, once you build a home, you're not going to have an opportunity to redo that driveway. And as you all know, many of our homes in original parts of the community and the older parts have very long driveways. And so most of the time, there's plenty of room.
So just for clarification, and not actually for clarification, just to bring home the point that Planning Commission did request a certain footage to be extended, and not only did he go to that, he extended even further, so offering more space on the driveway.
Once you ask for a revised drawing, and so his drawing that he'll submit with his permit would actually be what I showed you tonight. So yes, he's exceeding the request in both circumstances.
We appreciate that, so thank you. Commissioners, do you have additional questions or comments for Mrs. Lee regarding this request for 715 South Pecan? If not, I will entertain a motion if there is one.
Mayor Kaler.
Commissioner.
This is Commissioner Jorgensen. I move to approve the request as described in item 17 of the agenda.
Is there a second on the motion?
Commissioner Crowley will second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the ordinance of conditional use permit for 715 South Pecan. Or is there any discussion among commissioners?
Commissioner Skidmore, just to bring up how much we appreciate Van Knight's investment in our community, not only building in new subdivisions, but also the infill in older parts of our neighborhood. So I just want to express our appreciation for their investment. And I don't know how many homes they've built here. Wendy, you could probably tell me sometime, but it's been an impressive number, so we really appreciate their effort here in town.
Absolutely. Any other discussion among commissioners? If not, we will proceed to vote.
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crowley?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wygant is absent, and Mayor Kaler.
And I vote yes, motion carries. Well, that brings us to item 18, which is our report by our city manager. City Manager Neinstead, what do you have for us tonight?
Commissioners, I'm going to turn my time over to Public Works Director Michael Hafley, who wants to update you on 2 items. Michael?
Mike Hafley, Public Works Director. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I want to start out with letting you know that we had a pre-construction meeting with KDOT yesterday concerning the repairs to the K-68 bridge over the Maridazine River. That project is set to start May 12th, which is next week, with a late start date of May 30th. As of yesterday, the contractor was planning on starting on May 12th. They will be reducing that bridge to 1 lane with stoplights on each end of the bridge to allow traffic through, but they will have to wait on stoplights to get through. But the good news is the bridge is going to get fixed this year. So that, and I do want to stress that that is a KDOT project. The city of Ottawa has no financial interest in that project. That is completely 100% funded by KDOT. They found the contractor, and that is a KDOT only project. So the other thing I would like to address tonight is there has been some rumors going around that we were going to not allow veteran footstones at the cemeteries, and I want to dispel that rumor. That is not correct. That is not accurate. That was never part of the cemetery rules that you adopted. So I will stand under the.
Well, considering, Mr. Hafley, that you are an active member of our service branch, we appreciate you clarifying that. And I know that that's a very close thing to your heart, and you take that very seriously. I'm going to yield back to City Manager Neinstead. However, I did want to ask a quick question of Mr. Hafley. Can you tell us about the length of the construction project for the KDOT bridge at 68?
I am sorry, this is Mike Hafley, Public Works Director. I am sorry, Mayor, I did not catch that in the pre-construction meeting yesterday, but I do know that it will be going on completely throughout the summer.
Okay.
I believe it'll be into August, maybe possibly September before it's over. So
Okay.
it's gonna be kind of a long-term project.
Okay. Well, that's something we will all get used to. I appreciate you letting us know. City Manager Neinstead.
Thank you, Mayor. Michael?
Yes,
That
sir.
also applies to the veterans stakes that you can get from the county clerk, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate you clarifying that and then sending us that information about the 68 Highway Bridge. I know that we'll probably hear lots of feedback about that relatively quickly. But that moves us on to reports by our city commissioners. And I'm going to yield to my right with Mayor Pro Tem Crowley.
I would just like to say happy birthday to my wife yesterday, so happy birthday, babe.
There you go. Absolutely. I will yield to my left to Commissioner Skidmore.
I have no report.
And to my yielding, there you go, to the other side, there you go, Commissioner Jorgensen.
No report.
Okay. And that moves us on to a report by the mayor, and I don't have a report except for to say, again, once so glad to have you here, Melanie. And thank you for being a part of our team. We appreciate it, and we're excited to have you here. I also want to let everybody know that we do have a study session on the 10th of May at 4 p.m. here at City Hall, and we invite public to join us via Zoom. We also have a study session on the 17th at 4 p.m. at City Hall, and the public is invited to join us via Zoom. 19th, we have our regular meeting at 10 a.m. here at City Hall, and then we do have our joint city-county school board meeting that will be hosted by the city at noon on that day too. Is there anything else to be brought forward to the City Commission this evening? Seeing none, we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.